Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast. On today's episode, we're recapping our experience at Fan Expo Canada 2024. All this and everything else that happened this week in Geek.
You can be too. Love ya. Get home safe, guys. Peace.
Hey, it's Nate, and if you're joining us for the first time, we are Geekcentric, a podcast celebrating the world of movies, TV shows, toys, collectibles, gaming, and all things geek-centric. Joining me for This Week in Geek, he's wearing the most powerful and prettiest ring to rule them all. He's Justin, the illogical Lothlorien Lawrence.
Yo, I am tired.
Yeah,
I'm very tired
you're a little,
this week.
Put your ring
this
on.
weekend.
It'll wake you up. If you put your ring on, I bet that's its power.
I'm wearing it right now. You just can't see it.
Oh, gosh, Justin, come on. Maybe I should call you, like, crosses the line Lawrence, always. But don't worry about him. Don't worry about him. Next up, we have, he's always looking svelte, donning his latest Roosevelts. He's Darcy, Hotogo Hudson. He's hot to go.
Why'd you associate that with me, though? Now everyone's going to think I was the one who said put that song on.
You
Dang it.
love it. You love Chapel Roan. I know you're always talking about. You couldn't stop singing it. We were like, Justin and I were like, Darcy, come on.
Yeah, that's
It's
what
a Brat
happened.
Summer.
You guys
It's a
are
Brat
heard
Summer.
by my
It's
singing.
a Brat.
So
That's Charlie X.
that's-
Isn't that a different? I don't know.
I don't know.
And
I'm old. I
it's-
don't know these things.
You're not
I'm just
mindful. You're
throwing out
not
the
demure.
I don't spend
Justin.
hours on TikTok doing the millennial research that you do, writing it all down, making
Yes,
sure
that's
I have the tags.
Exactly what it is. But listen, last but certainly not least, she's a nifty, thrifty, art-loving Swiftie who's never shifty, but always a fan of Harry popcorn. She's Megan Roney and Cheese Chambers.
I'm so excited. The conversation we were having on the way home from the Fan Expo today, I'm just going to preview.
Yeah.
We were just trying to think of any character in all the fandoms we love and mix them with food.
That was
So
it.
I appreciate the Harry popcorn popped in there. I also haven't been on the podcast in a long time, so
Yes,
I'm happy to be
welcome.
back.
Yeah, happy to have you, and happy to have you back for a pretty good one. This is gonna be a fun time. This is I don't know how many years that now we've been recapping Fan Expo's third, fourth. I can't remember.
It's third is press. I think it's like our fourth or fifth time doing it though, as
As like a group
team. Yeah.
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 Well, Justin, you said you're exhausted. Everyone else in the room, are you exhausted but satisfied? I think that's the best way to be.
I think so, yeah.
I would say that's the perfect way to describe after weekend con experience.
Slimy yet satisfied.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with slimy. I like
sweaty,
that. That's
sweaty yet satisfied.
sweaty. Yeah,
That
moist.
was today too. Yeah.
Moist yet satisfied. I think that also
Jeez.
that quantifies, especially after having
I don't.
yeah,
Moist and
I know,
satisfied.
Darcy, you
I'm
don't
sorry,
really relate to
no.
that. You stay pretty dry.
God, no. I know. I'm just saying. I don't know if anyone needs to hear those words together with thinking of us. Just not a combo
God.
people need.
Hey, it could be our sponsor one day, okay? Moist and dry. I don't know. It could be a powder company. Anyways, as I was saying, D23, that was a wild time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm more exhausted from this con because it was so close to D23, right?
Yeah.
So it feels like, even though we had like about a week and a half off before we jumped into this convention, I still was kind of getting off of the high of that and the experience of what that was. Also having to deal with the fact that I got COVID after coming back from it. So this one felt like almost extra exhausted. Like you said it best. It's like when we were done and we were leaving, it's like our body shut down. We were just like, oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So tired.
We're talking. We're having a good time. You see. I think you get excited to see all the cool things and be a part of the cool experiences and what have you. And your feet kind of go into auto mode. It's the same thing when we're at like the Disney parks or whenever we get to do fun things as a group. I feel like I can walk a lot more than I normally can for some reason. But yeah, as soon as you sit down in the car Darcy's driving us home, and
Should have turned left.
should have turned left, Darcy. We won't bring it up. We don't want him to go off on a
You just
tangent.
did. Jeez.
I think it just anywhere would have gone the wrong way. I swear, just traffic is awful. I don't know why Fan Expo decides to do it on the same weekend as a 4-game series with out of town.
I don't know why.
Teams.
I don't know why
Like,
Toronto decides to mush all their stuff together. They're always like that.
they're right
They're
beside
like,
each
let's
other.
get as
So
many
you-
people we can in the city. We got the CNEX going on. We got Blue Jays games. Hey, you know
And
what?
in a small
We're gonna have
area.
a geek festival going on as well. And we're gonna cram a whole bunch of people in there. And my God, the trudge of people like are just walking through the streets. It's like
It's a lot.
it's a lot, man.
Well,
It's crazy.
Megan, you know, this was your, I guess, would this be your second ever time at a convention? What was this like for you? I know you did the Thursday and the Sunday.
Yes.
And we're recording this Sunday night. What was it like for you? Give me your high-level thoughts on this experience compared to the last time you were at Fan
Yeah.
Expo.
Well, the last time I was there would have been in 2022, and that was still things kind of trying to get back to normal since the pandemic. So I think the crowds were a little bit smaller that back then in comparison to this weekend. Now, as I was referencing from what you guys were saying, this even still wasn't totally back to the numbers that they're used to getting, I guess, for Fan Expo. But you wouldn't know that when you're walking through Artist Alley.
Oh, yeah.
It should be my favorite place there, and it maybe gave me the most anxiety because I'm not a big crowds person. So why am I going to a Fan Expo? But no, it's just the claustrophobia of being like sucked into those alleys was like not the greatest thing in the world, but the rest of the experience was so fun and really cool stuff. They did a lot of really cool experiences, activations, whatever we call them. There were so many artists being featured in such a wide capacity, which was really cool.
Not wide lanes, but
Not
wide
wide
capacity.
lanes,
Yes,
but lots of them smushed into a small space.
for sure.
But yeah, it was fun
Yeah, I
for
think.
someone who has social anxiety.
Well, we talked about baby elephanting any chance that we got if you were feeling like it was a tough go, we'd kind of huddle around you. So hopefully we did a good enough job kind of keeping you safe and sound in those crowds. But, I think this year felt, like you're saying, like it felt bigger in some ways. It felt kind of like a step back in others that we'll talk about for sure. I think no matter what, I'm definitely seeing the intention of what Fan Expo is trying to do and trying to get back to, but there are still some pieces missing. But I think there were there were definitely experiences that we had that were well worth attending this year. So I want to start off where we spent the majority of our time, which was in South Building. If you don't know, Fan Expo at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre is the biggest convention in Ontario, or at least I think it is, and it spans two buildings. South is for things like big, sort of company activations, experiences, Artists Alley, and then there's some panels in that area as well. And then North has like the main stage room on the lower floor, as well as a bunch of vendors, and that's also where you get your photos taken and signatures with guest talent for the 4-day event. So I kind of want to throw it to the three of you, whoever wants to dive in. What did you think of, some of the different things that we got to experience in the South Building? We had offerings from Paramount, Disney Plus, and Prime Video. I think were kind of the big three, and I know they were also kind of the big three for last year as well. So I'll kick it over to any of you to kind of jump in and talk about what you want.
Yeah, I mean, it was an enjoyable con. I like cons for so many reasons outside of these activations and stuff like that. And you were saying that while it does feel like it's a step forward, because we did see some of the bigger names returning again like last year, some of those activations fell a bit flat for me, and especially in comparison to what they brought us last year. Like, what comes to mind was the Disney Plus one. To me, almost the biggest letdown on the floor. It was still really cool to see these costumes and stuff from Agatha. Coven of Chaos, but
it's all along now, actually.
All along,
but
right?
I won't blame you because they had 19 different names for it.
Yeah. And I've seen the trailer so many times. Apparently, Agatha. I'm just gonna call it
There
Agatha. Save myself some trouble there.
For sure.
It was really cool seeing those costumes, but when you think about what they did last year for Ahsoka, where they showed us costumes and props from the show, while also giving us this really cool photo experience and really making it like all eyes on this booth. This one being tucked away in the back corner where they turned off some of the lights overhead to put you in a dark room with 3 costumes. It was a bit underwhelming, honestly. So that's where I feel like they've fallen short. But if we're talking about my favorite activation, Squishmallows kind of stole the show for me on my solo day at the con on Saturday. They allow you to keep going back as many times as you wanted to wait in that line, and you got to play like the easiest claw machine out there where a winner is all but guaranteed. And even if you don't win, they still give you a small little Squishmallow to take home. So I, with my niece's birthday, second birthday being today, I stocked up on a lot of little free gifts for her that she went home in addition to the already overwhelming amount of stuff we've thrown at her. So that was really fun. It was really cool. Again, just it's a memorable moment from the con, and I feel like that's what was lacking from this year, was that there was a lot of things going on there, but there weren't nearly a lot of things to take home and remember the con with, like we got in last year with either photo experiences or freebies or what have you.
Giveaway pins, I think, was a big thing with the lodge last year that was kind of not there at all. And you know what? I mean, giveaways are cool, but I mean, at the same time, too, like to your point, the experience you have after waiting for a certain amount of time. And, you know, as press, sometimes we get access to things in a certain way. But with Fan Expo being very much a fan first event, that's not always the case. So I completely agree with you. And I think, you know, bringing up the lodge, for instance, the Paramount Plus Lodge, really cool the way they build it, the way they sort of design it, walking in and smelling the wood of the lodge. Like you do get that sense that you're sort of walking into a lodge. But that was there last year. And last year it felt like they had so much more to do there. And it felt like there was, you know, maybe 4 or sort of 5 different areas, each with giveaways and pictures and different things like that. And here it felt like maybe, 2.5, 3.5 things that most of them were recycled. I love seeing the turtles. We had a chance to interact with 2 of the 4 turtles, but it didn't, I don't know, it didn't feel as big as it did last time, and I think some of the elements to it felt a bit rushed. So yeah, I kind of, that's where I'm kind of, you know, sort of hearing what you're talking about, Darcy, and with Disney, you know, bringing over that Agatha All Along experience, I believe from D23. It didn't quite live up to what you would expect from them and what we've had last year. Megan, for yourself, what were some of the experiences you had in South Building?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Artist Alley was tight, but still covered in lots of art, which was great. Activation wise, there was a small handful of cool photo opportunities. Some that you kind of had to decide to do on your own, or some were set up with a person there there was props, like the Indiana Jones game. It was a video game.
Yeah, with Xbox.
Yeah, that one was fun because they had a hat and a whip and a jacket, so we took a cool photo there.
Fantastic.
Solid.
It's on our socials. Definitely check that out.
I like how we're basically saying that the 3 of us are one indie.
We're
exactly.
we're all Indiana Jones.
Today we got to do Lego. I know, Darcy, on your solo day you went through a couple times. They had these daily little alternative yoga Lego characters. So today we got Yoda, but he doesn't have a face or anything.
It's
it
like
was
minimalist almost.
Minimalist, yeah, characters. And then that also kind of filters you through their shop, and then you can buy stuff. And because it was Sunday and those giveaways were ending, I think they just kind of threw every extra little giveaway they had at us.
At Darcy physically.
I got hit in the face while talking to someone else at the Lego booth, so that was...
But we were hit in the face with a stormtrooper. It's not that bad.
It wasn't even a stormtrooper, though. It was some ISB agent. They weren't even wearing cool armor.
Dang it.
It's from the never realized Andor collection.
There you go.
Yeah, but I think one of my favorite activations that we did, and I think we can all kind of agree on this, we did wait for a really long time on Thursday, and not all of us could do it, which I think was just maybe a little bit of under preparation on their part. But then on our part, when we got to schedule an appointment, we got to make rings with the Rings of Power and Amazon Prime. So that was a really cool experience, making a ring with resin and, you know, kind of getting a little bit creative, and all of our rings look different. And that was really cool. And a very interactive way to get people excited about something, which I don't think any other booth or business did.
I was going to say Prime kind of won that with the takeaway. Like I will remember that for cons to
Forever.
come, because it was a first time I've ever done something so hands-on at a convention like
Literally.
Yes.
Hands on the rings. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It was. I think I said this offline, but it was definitely the most D23 style activation there. You know, it invited people in to experience something that did require a good chunk of time, right? You did have to reserve a spot, but what you walked away with was something that you made. And I believe it was led by Jessica Rysick, is her name, and she is a sculptor and artist who works in installation, and she uses silicone molds to help create these rings, and you use resin to help build it, and you know, just the idea of bringing that to a convention experience is really unique, right? Like you said, Darcy, I think they kind of walk away with having something that is probably the most interactive. But I'm entirely with you guys. I think that the volume of people stayed consistent. I wasn't there Saturday, but Darcy, from all standards, it sounds like it was pretty busy based on your
escalator
insight.
broke while I was riding it. So I think that kind of sums it up
For sure.
perfectly.
So I think the volume of people has been fairly consistent even from last year to this year. It's really about, again, as we were talking about, the various activations. You know, the fact that Disney Plus was more centralized last year with the Ahsoka booth and had a photo op. Like you said, you go in and you get this photo taken and you walk away with something that can be shared and experienced. Instead now, you know, again, it's great that they brought the costumes and they had access to it. It is a smaller version of what was at D23. And by small, it's like really like it's very tiny, and it was just parked off in the corner. And I think that kind of hurt that experience. And I get what they were trying to do with the design and making it look like the Witch's Road and the leaves and stuff like that. But even at D23, you know, there was a little bit more smoke and atmospherical elements that were kind of at play. And I don't think they could probably get away with it. But that said, like, effort is there. It just doesn't go all the way. Like, it would have been nice if you walked through that Witch's Road and maybe there was a nice photo op and then you get out, right? That would have been probably something that's tangible for people to take away from that. But, you know, it was really great to see more of a Lego presence. Lego took over like a huge section. It felt as big as it was back in pre-pandemic days. Gaming had a presence. Even, you know, with chatting with Victor Lucas, like, you know, even the way he's talked about the idea of like wanting to bring more gaming. Like, again, it wasn't at the levels of what it was pre-pandemic, but this was far better than what we've had in, you know, other years with gaming since the pandemic, since like 2019. And I also agree. I think the Lodge was a bit of a miss in a lot of ways. Like it didn't have as many of those photo ops. Like it was actually really carved out really nicely how you walk in and there's a photo op. You go to another one with Ninja Turtles. It's like a separate world. Star Trek was there. SpongeBob was there. But it guided you through this process. It felt so fluid, right? Like you wanted to hit it all up. This one felt just really like we're going to put the best one in the back, which was the Turtles, which was, again, just a rehash of what we got from last year, but just kind of spread out
without the
differently.
goo, by the way.
Yeah, without the ooze.
Where's the ooze? Sorry, I called it
yeah.
goo.
Yeah. It's
But
goo,
where's
goo
the
comes
the
from you.
ooze?
Ooze is what they're from. I think again, it goes to show that that some of these bigger studios that were wanting to like hit activations, some of them took a little bit of a step back. It looks like Prime was the only one that just pushed forward with it because they had something that was really relevant, that was literally coming out the week of when this con is happening. You know, Rings of Power Season 2 is coming out later this week. So it's like they just went really hard on focus on that. There was no boys presence, right? There was no invincible presence like there was last year. It was literally just Rings of Power. So I think, again, just a bit of a misstep on their part to kind of focus on just that. I think they could have had a lot more. I feel like the South was just full of vendors and full of a lot of artists. And I think at the end of the day, those are the people that pays the bills for Fan Expo, which is why they have them so many people in there crammed side by side, is because they sell. So I'm not sure how the logistics of that works, but it just feels like that there was more of that than there was activations and things that people could actually interact with.
Well, and I mean, I had the lovely opportunity to attend Disney Lorcana Challenge on the Saturday, so I also didn't go to Fan Expo on the Saturday. But I remember, Darcy, I think we were texting back and forth as I was winning a little more than I thought I would and losing a lot as much as I thought I would. But I remember it was maybe 1 o'clock on the Saturday, and you were like, yeah, I've already done 4 laps around this place, and you'd kind of already done all the things, and we had our appointment booked for Rings of Power. So it was one of those instances where it gave me the feeling that 4 days might not be fully necessary for someone that would want to go. Whereas if you had asked me,
this year,
again,
yes, yeah,
before a while ago, I would say 100% you have to do it in 4 days, right? So, so it's interesting to see how it's changed there. I think the Rings of Power experience, I'm gonna also just shout out and say, yes, my favorite experience. I was initially, we had our wonderful, beautiful king of the elves, king of the dwarves. I don't know. He's king of something. Kevin is not here on the podcast because he's off somewhere. I don't know. But he got to make his ring on that first day, and I remember sort of peeking in and thinking, oh, how incredible would it have been if they could have maybe brought in an actor to lead it, similar to something like you'd have at a Savvy's workshop and or a dwarf or an elf or something like that. But I will say, having experienced it, Jessica was absolutely fantastic. She was losing her voice because she literally was the only one doing all of those sessions, working her butt off, and had some wonderful assistance with her. But she's awesome. We're gonna link her Instagram in our show notes, so you can definitely check out her stuff. But I also want to shout out the Retro Kid booth. I think Steve and his team always pull no punches when it comes to great Canadiana themed, nostalgia infused clothing drops and guests. I mean, Toronto Comic Con, Darcy and I had the wonderful pleasure of meeting Nanoland, which was incredible. And I got to hear her talk about pizza. But this year, not only the launch of Molly the Dolly from Big Comfy Couch. I think this is Retro Kid's first toy or doll or sort of, collectible thing that way. But also Laura Bertram and Lanny Billard from, and I'm not fully aware of this. It might be more of Justin's time.
Ready or Not, bro.
Ready or Not.
They had the single best guest at their booth. They were rocking some great Ready or Not attire. We didn't get a chance to actually talk to them, but to see them and to see their energy at that booth and to see them interacting with fans was just so lovely. And they had this theme song playing
music
the entire time, and I was just damn, man.
Yeah,
I just want to go watch this show. So I might actually watch this show at some point this week and revisit it and be kind of snapping back to my nostalgic days.
Yeah.
I think on Thursday they had a big Molly that was coming out every once in a while to take pictures. Kind of like how they had back when I was there last time. They had
Pokeroo, right?
Pokeroo, thank you.
Yeah.
So this time around they had Molly in front of the clock rug on the wall, and
But still, just I think the biggest thing with Retro Kid is the intentionality behind what they're doing is always just so beautiful and wonderful, and it feels like a party. You walk by and you're drawn to that
the
area,
energy,
which is huge for somebody coming in and they're selling things, right? But they're creating an experience out of it.
And again, we mentioned Kevin, who he only was able to attend Thursday because he had a busy weekend of concerts, and again, his daughter's second birthday today. So his hands were a bit full, but that Thursday he walked by that booth and immediately texted his wife, they've got a Molly here, and he spent the most money he did at that con at that booth, because the fact that you're able to take this love, our love of our what we grew up on, and share it with the next generation. His daughter has already commandeered Molly. That is now her dolly, despite him getting it for Sarah. Robbie now owns that doll, and it is just that's the greatest thing to think of, is that Retro Kid is continuing this ability to share what we love with our kids and the next generation. It's so cool.
Yeah, and it's for Canadians. Like that's the thing. Like
Yes.
everything is about Canadian culture. You know, like and like sure, you could argue Sesame Street, sure, not Canadian. You know, it was something that we watched as kids in Canada. Like it was deemed as appropriate for kids, and it was very popular on PBS. And the fact that like they have a whole line of stuff with Sesame Street, but it's not necessarily the Sesame Street characters that you remember. Like the I guess the owner and sort of founder of Retro Kid had shared that, you know, they get to have access to a whole bunch of materials that Sesame Street hasn't used, but is under them that can be licensed, and they would pick specific images. So like for Darcy and Nate, you guys both got their sort of like their Oscar and Grover shirts, correct? And they have 4 unique images, and I'm like, those 4 unique images speak more to who Retro Kid is as a brand than it does to who Sesame Street is. It's the marriage of the two, and that's what's so great is that they're not putting out just, you know, reissued stuff for the sake of it. They're doing it in their own way that speaks to who Retro Kid is, and that's what's so great. Like the Ready or Not stuff is fantastic. It's like 90s varsity high school style stuff that, you know, you would see kids wearing. So yeah, they always kill it. Their booth is always the best, and it's always great to see them there amongst like other vendors, and they really do, like you said, commandeer their space. It becomes an event. They have music playing, they get people involved, you know, there's always people lining up and checking it out. So yeah, kudos to them for having a really great vibe through and through on all their conventions.
And, you know, if you are listening, shout out to friend of the show, Robbie. Happy birthday. We just want to wish you a very happy birthday. Should have done that at the top of the show. What were we thinking? But no, I love that. I love that idea that it's, yeah, that like you said, Darcy, like Molly has been sort of passed down. I love the idea that maybe she's going to watch the show and sort of, you know, grow up with a bit of that and do the clock time stretches and things like that is really, really cute. I want to give a quick shout out to Nerds Gummy Clusters for kind of giving us maybe one of the best giveaways, which were packs of Nerd Gummy Clusters. Justin was eating some just before we went live here, and yeah, how did you're digging the lovely lady at the Nerds booth said they won an innovation award for Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Wow.
So
I believe it. They blew my mind.
let's
They
go.
are incredible.
Yeah.
They
Let's
are
go.
incredible.
If you haven't tried them, try them.
If you haven't tried them yet, yeah, not a sponsor, but they should be. Nerds, hit us up. Geeks and nerds, like, come on,
Yeah,
go
go
together.
together like, you know, 2 pods, you know, kind of like mixing together like a gummy and like nerds and, you know,
we're the gummy
smush 'em
center.
together.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Right?
That's
We're the
it.
we got our sticky center. It's
The
you.
Staff Gooey
Yeah.
Center.
We're
Our soft-
sticky and
our
the
soft
nerds
gooey
stick to
center.
it. Okay, listen, guys. So, you know, I think for some of the things that were great in the South Building in terms of the activations and some of the stuff that took a bit of a step back, I think really a big positive this year has to be the panels. I think this was a great year for guests. We got to see some really cool people chat about their passions and the things they've done, and overall a lot of big names, you know, kind of came out. There were a few cancellations for various reasons, but, you know, huge names like Simu Liu, Bryce Dallas Howard, Rosario Dawson, Josh Gad, Catherine Hahn, Marissa Tomei, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Helen Hunt, Emily Swallow, Tamura Morrison, Giancarlo Esposito, and Patrick Warburton. And then some great voice actors as well. D. Bradley Baker, Ashley Eckstein, Tara Strong, Jennifer Hale, Rob Paulson. So there was just such a wonderful, you know, big amount. I think voice actors, we're used to seeing a lot of the voice actors. I think some of the bigger, the big on-screen talent names were really, really cool to see there as well. So I want to dive in. I want to talk about these panels. And Darcy, I'll throw it over to you. What was a highlight from some of the panels that we got to attend?
Again, I didn't really go to much. To me, Fan Expo has never been about the panels, because when I started going there, the panels were very just fan put together, and they are getting to the point where they are, like you're saying, we're getting in past years where we got one, you know, actor talking with a moderator. This year it seems we're working toward the like building the cast out and have 3 with a moderator and having a really like a conversation about their shared projects or what have you. And it's really cool to see that. And again, the one of my favorite panel probably was the one we closed out the con with today, which was the Giancarlo Esposito and Emily Swallow with the late appearance of Tamura Morrison because he slept in. Just between Emily Swallow and Giancarlo talking about how they bring these characters to life, whether you can see their face or not, and kind of how they go about building these characters from very little to go on. Because while they do know more than we do, they don't know anything about these characters, so they get to really find out about them as they get to find out them as they act through their roles and stuff like that and get certain directions. But then Tamura coming in with that song at the end just kind of blew everybody away. So that was definitely one of my favorite panels. And again, I'm glad that we're going towards the more like a more packed panel where you can have a longer conversation. I just hope that in the future we see some of these panels bumped up from the 45-minute time block to maybe an hour or longer, so we can take some time to really get into these conversations.
Well, I think the thing that you mentioned where they're going off of so little, Giancarlo, and I think I've heard him say this before. I mean, he didn't go to church as much as he did last year. Last year we talked about the idea
he was alone last time.
He was alone last year,
why.
so he could be as unhinged as he wanted to be, and he was going off. But this year, you know, obviously with Emily
fine
there,
last time. He was just energetic.
He was
right?
very energetic. And
He was like, and it was a Sunday morning again, I'm pretty sure, right? So
Yeah.
it was like, he was like, I'm taking these people to church this morning. Wake your asses up. It's Fan Expo. He definitely still had that level of energy, but yes, it was more tamed because there was someone else next to him.
But
he had to also have to talk.
But I loved how he said specifically what he really worked with and started with for the character of Moff Gideon is, I know everything. And he does the voice, and it's so phenomenal to see. And I think, I do think
live the Empire.
He had to do one of those. He had to do one of those, of course. But Tem showing up, pretty much near the end of the panel, but then coming out and singing like a panther, and then he sits down and he starts going, what else? What else? Blue Jays are great. What else? What else? And then, Megan, you mentioned that Emily kind of had a great moment.
My favorite moment of the whole panel. We're all, everybody's kind of poking fun at Tamara Morrison this weekend, talking about, you ask him one very simple question and he talks forever. He even mentioned it today, very self-aware. He's like, I could talk forever. I could just keep going. I love Toronto here. What else? And then Emily leaned over to him and said, well, it's the Q&A, so maybe we let them talk now. It was perfect. It was great. They were having fun, and
it was fun. But in all honesty, he picked the perfect time to show up, right? Like he picked the perfect time to show up because he didn't have to say too much, and it was probably better because then that way there was more time shared amongst them. Because I was really impressed with how they balanced their conversation between the two of them, between Emily and Giancarlo, because especially Giancarlo, he can talk too. And I think, again, he, evaluated the situation, understands that there's someone else there, so he has to obviously speak to what he speaks to and then give Emily the opportunity to do the same. And they were so aligned in terms of how they shared their experiences. Like you said, Giancarlo Esposito just read one line, and that's how he identified this character, and that became the sticking point, the through point. And for Emily, it's, understanding the sentiments of this is the way, that sounds important, and then the caveat of she's very zen, and that's what pushed her. And the reality is, she's right. So many people think that they know the answers to everything. They know where their characters are from and where they're going and what's going to happen, and it's not true. Most of it is stuff that they've made up or stuff that they don't want to have explored because it gives them something to hold on to make them kind of special and unique that no one really kind of will ever understand. But also, they don't know how it's all going to go together. Like the fact that Emily said when she did her scenes as the armorer, she didn't know how much the armorer was going to be and how involved, how important. She was actually really surprised at how integral the armorer was to the sort of like how foundational it was to the Mandalorian belief. So again, that's great. That's so cool. Like there is still a level of distance in these projects, and that the actors can then be surprised with what they are bringing to a project, which I think is so cool. So cool. And Tamora Morrison, man, showing up late, please. Like the guy was like, the only thing I would say is with these panels is the Q&A portion, because we left at the Q&A portion because we were like, we got to go get our rings made, and it's all the way on the other side of the building. But this is probably the perfect time to leave this conversation because of that Q&A, because it's just it's awkward.
You never know the kind of questions some of the people are gonna ask. So it's we got a couple interesting ones.
Yeah,
off
we
the
got
top,
two.
and
We
then-
got 2 or 3, and then we were like, this fourth person came up. We're like,
No.
that's it. We're out of here.
I mean, it's very well-intentioned question. I'm sure
course.
they
Of
tried
course.
to relate it to something
course.
that they were in, a separate property, and it was something about like with supernatural. Would you be
But
like?
you
a
don't
hunter or
remember it
something
as
like
too
that?
much. That it was like
No,
it was very
the answer though that Tem gives, she's like,
Oh,
"Would you be
God.
a hunter? Would you be a whatever, a
Witch,
witch, or
a
whatever?"
wizard,
A princess.
Yeah, a princess.
or-
Yeah. And he's
Yeah.
just like Princess Leia, and it's just okay. Thanks, Tem. Like,
Great.
Thanks for
not at all
coming.
what she asked. I'm so
But-
happy that was the
But
answer.
I'm glad that he was there to sort of have fun
Be
with
him.
it, right?
It was so
to
much
be him.
fun.
Yeah, and one of the other things I really loved that Emily Swallows offered was a way to connect with the Star Wars universe as an actor and a professional, but also as a fan. And, Justin, you're talking about how they only know so much, so they still get surprised by things. And Emily says one of the questions that she gets a lot, obviously, is like, can you tell us anything? Do you know anything? And she's like, even if I did, I wouldn't want to tell you because we all know as fans the greatest part about these things is the not shock value, but like
it's the surprise.
the surprises,
Yeah.
the twists and turns. That's why we love these stories. So for her to know that ahead of time and then share it would be kind of sad and spoilery. So
And why would you want to? Come on.
no one would. No. And she's a fan too, and that's why she understands that.
Yeah, no, and speaking of fans, I mean, obviously we're huge Star Wars fans, so that wasn't the only Star Wars panel that we attended. We also got a chance to check out a Star Wars duo, Snips and Rex. With
So sad
with
I missed this one.
Ashley Eckstein, who's Ahsoka, and D. Bradley Baker, who's like every clone and the Bad Batch. And I think some of the highlights from that one for me definitely were, Ashley calling D an icon pretty much constantly. The fact that D. Bradley Baker never studied acting formally, but dressed as a Jawa one day and said, I need to be in Star Wars. But I think the thing that really was inspiring, I mean, Ashley Eckstein, every time she speaks, is so inspiring. And she talked about sort of building the bulk of her career by going through never going through like a straight path and going through doors. Even if she thought they were the wrong door, they yielded opportunities for her that she now has, like with her clothing line, her universe, and I just think it's super cool, and I love as well, her talking about, she fell in love with Ahsoka before everyone else did. Right. And not only did she fall in love before everyone else did, they made that movie, the Star Wars Clone Wars movie, 2 years she was involved in that before anyone got to it. And while the internet wasn't as big as it is now, and as Star Wars vitriol is not there as prevalent as it is and it has been in the past little bit, especially, there was still a lot of unkind things being said about Ahsoka. And it was. She said it was really, really tough for her, but she powered through because she believed in what Ahsoka represented, and she never wanted to give up on that. And it was beautiful.
I think, as you said, like it's harder to do that today, but that is literally the difference of how to really make it work. I know it's hard to say that as someone who's not doing it and doesn't get to see those comments, but at the same time, it's doing it no matter what. It's caring about the work that you're doing, right? And I think that a lot of people who've worked in Star Wars have been attacked and bullied and stuff like that, and it is unfortunate that it has taken away from them wanting to explore that anymore, right? And in a lot of ways, but for Ashley, it, like you said, the fact that the internet wasn't as big, it's probably easier for her to power through and just not really kind of see it as frequent. Do you know what I mean? Like now it's like everyone who has a Twitter account has a voice that somehow matters, and it's meant to tear things down and be hurtful and bullying, and it's silly, right? So I'm glad though that it's she was able to power through and give us this character that now has kind of stood the test of time and has translated from animation into live action through what she brought in that character.
Yeah, and I think the funniest thing about the fact that she talked about she was like bullied even though the internet was very small, the fact that during the Q&A someone got up and said, when I first started watching Clone Wars, I hated Ahsoka, but by the end of it, I was in love with her. And it's almost like Ashley clearly knew that she had that potential from the beginning, and so she almost played up that brattiness to drive home the fact that she will go through the greatest changes and some of the greatest story arcs that, like you said, Justin, will stand the test of time. And it's just hearing the insight behind that, and how, well, she, like, so many doors had closed to her at this point, and she still got the job and still was able to put her heart and soul into it, and it's come out the other end here and is this icon in the industry and among the fans. It's really cool. It's always cool to get these conversations and hear how their journeys have shaped, like, fans have helped shape their journeys, whether it's good or bad, and how they take it in stride going forward with the character or other roles. It's always really cool.
I will say, though, even having seen Ashley last year, was it last year that we saw her? I'm pretty sure it was last year. And to see Giancarlo last year, and, you know, to hear variations, like, yes, you're right, Darcy. There was some slight bit of new details that were shared, but it is interesting how these experiences, because for some of these people, for some of these actors and celebrities, they do this traveling tour with Fan Expo, and they've done it before, maybe multiple years, and sometimes you do get a lot of the same sort of rehashing of stories, or, you know, revisiting similar experiences, maybe slightly very varied, which is why it's, you know, it's interesting to see people that you haven't seen, because, like you said, Nate, like, Saturday had a whole ton of people that, like, Simu Liu was there, Rosario Dawson, I think John Rice Davies was actually, like, Thursday, but
it was Thursday night.
Yeah, he was Thursday night. But there were some bigger names Saturday, and to your point, like, some talent that hasn't necessarily done the Fan Expo convention circuit as much, which I wish they had kind of put those on Friday or Thursday or something like that, but I get it. Saturday's the busiest day. I'm sure that the lineups were massive for those panels.
Well, and I think that's one of my, I guess I understand why they had them all at night on Thursday and or Friday, because it's technically still a work day for normal people. But I was a little bit sad that Thursday, like, we were there for so much of the day and no panels were happening during that time. And then even today, we got one at the beginning of the day, but then nothing else was happening until the evening. So it just was like, you've spaced these out really strangely. And for the group of us that don't live in downtown Toronto, we live outside of Toronto, so it's difficult traffic wise to get in and out. It's just not very accommodating for people who have to travel each day to get there, like, to see stuff. So
it is,
yeah, I don't know.
It does become really difficult, though, when you stack a lot of things back to back, or you space them out, because then it does it, like, either or, right? Like, you could have a lot of people back to back to back that, you know, going from Simu to Rosario, or, you know, we went from, I believe it was, like, Ashley and Dee Bradley right into Agatha. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot going on that either you have to really pick and choose, because, like, if it wasn't for our friends at Disney that held a spot for us for the Agatha, we would have had to have left that room
and not gotten
back
in.
at the gotten to the back
they,
of that line.
Maybe to the back of the room, very far away.
We would have been back
corner
corner, because they were hoping to fill that whole room, and they got pretty close. But you know, I don't think anyone's actually. I haven't seen anyone fill that room other than the I think last year the Hobbit reunion one that they had, that was held in the evening. That one was just full. Like, it looked like it was just a full room. But yeah, that said, it you know, it just means that you have to pick and choose what you want to get in line for, if you're going to, because there's no way to actually do it, especially if they are stacked back to back. Like, I'm either going to miss this first one and wait for the second one, or go for this first one and not see the second one, right? Like, I don't know. It makes it tough to kind of figure out. So I don't know. It's weird. Do you do less? Do you know what I mean? Do you do less of these, like, sort of big stage room panels and do more smaller room panels?
Well, and I mean, we're talking about the fact that over the last 3 years, they've had a lot of the same people. So maybe you don't keep getting the same person back. You bring new people on, because they're just going to say the same thing, because they're here for the same project that they've been here for the last 3 years. And that's why we can all say we've heard Giancarlo Esposito say the same things, because what else is he going to say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, year to year to year without new projects and what have you.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
It's just going to be variations, right? Like, the questions asked and then
Totally.
it's just slightly different, right? So
yeah.
Yeah. I think you mentioned Agatha all along. We had some, before I just quickly jump into that, I do want to just shout out some of the great hosts as well of some of the panels we got to see. Justin, I know you were stoked to get a chance to chat with Joe Deckelmeyer from Screen Rant.
Yeah.
I thought he did a great job with the Giancarlo, Emily, and rounding
Even
up
though he
Tamora
was,
as well.
Yeah, I told him. I said you knew how to hold the fort down while they figured out timing in the morning, because this was the first panel for the morning. I wonder if Tamora's lateness was kind of playing into that as to why they kind of maybe didn't start right on time, or if it was just a matter of entertaining. But he was so he's just chatting with the crowd, he's interacting with them, and then he does what he does best. He asks some really great interview questions that allow these talented actors to kind of unravel their process for us as an audience. And anytime someone can do that, I think is really great. Same with I'm sure you're going to talk about Victor Lucas with Agatha. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, I mean, getting to see someone I've grown up admiring in the gaming scene, getting to lead a panel for Agatha all along, like the latest Marvel show, was awesome. And I will say I actually had the opportunity to chat with Catherine Hahn and Joe Locke, and Justin spoke to Jack Schaefer, the showrunner for the series, earlier that day for a junket. And we're going to have those interviews probably closer to the release of the show. But I have to say I've very much been under Catherine Hahn's spell, even more so since chatting with her. And so yeah, you best believe my heart was a flutter. I'll just say when Justin and I saw that she waved at us, and we were just, it was really, really cool. And I think it was nice to kind of get to hear more insight into the show, to get to hear what things about. I mean, Victor asked some really great questions regarding WandaVision, and of course Jack's work on WandaVision, and then getting to hear them all skirt around spoilers while discussing the other witches in the show was great. And I think it was also cool, and I know, Justin, you had mentioned this as well, but sort of getting to hear that the questions that Victor had come up with or that they were working with sounded very similar to some of the questions that we actually
came up with.
Came up with. But I mean, there's going to be overlap, but it's cool to sort of be in this space and sort of, I still feel like we're a little pretty fresh to the press scene of things. And so to kind of know that we're on the same level with some of those questions was cool, and it was a cool feeling, and it was great being there. And thank you so much to Disney for pulling us up to the front so we could enjoy the panel.
Yeah, a huge shout out to the team there for being solid and just making some space for us. But yeah, I think that going off what you're saying, it was really nice to connect with Victor after all of that today. We ran into him at his booth with where he's selling sweaters, but I got shout out to his signage, which was 1990s
so
Bristol board and
I think his
bright
daughter
markers.
maybe made them. I
love them.
Ruby
I think
had
I'm pretty sure his daughter, Ruby, was the one that made them. They are fantastic. He should just use that as branding for Electric Playground moving forward. I think it would be great, sweaters, t-shirts. It'd be cool. That said, it was really cool to connect with him and have him kind of share some insight about his experience with Electric Playground in relation to what we're doing, and how, just kind of the bondage of friendship that sort of we share and it drives what we, this is a place where we get to do that. We would do that if we didn't have a podcast. But now that we have a podcast, it's free-flowing, constructive thoughts and discussions and things that we get to do it, and it challenges us to do these things. And yeah, there's always going to be overlap when you're thinking of questions to ask people, because that's part of the process. Sometimes you find a gem of a question, and even they acknowledge in that moment, they're like, "Ooh, that's a good question," because it's something that they haven't heard. And yeah, it's a process, but it's cool because, like you said, it sometimes feels like it's a bit of imposter syndrome for, you're like I don't think I should be here, but I'm here. And, you get these questions, you get to ask these questions and have some really great conversations, regardless if it's something that they've already answered a million times before.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, listen, we are getting pretty far along here in our recap. We're geeks. We say that we talk about collectibles, and I feel like we don't get enough opportunity to do so. So, we like to collect things, we like to buy things, and I think we should maybe sort of wrap this this Week in Geeks episode with a Whatcha, where we normally with Whatcha would talk about what we're watching, but I want to get into what you bought. I'll shout out, Andrew, Rodrigo, Mark, and the team at Layered Butter are always a pleasure to chat with. We enjoy checking out Toronto Collective. And I think pins were also a really big highlight, but I want to throw it to, we'll start with Megan. I'd love to hear, whatcha.
Absolutely. I was very narrowed in on what I wanted to get this year. There were a couple stops that I knew I wanted to go to because they're people whose artwork I'd been looking at for a long time and deciding what I wanted and never really biting the bullet. And this year was the time to bite the bullet. So we did stop at Miguel Molina of Mad Pins. I believe he's from out west. I know, Darcy, you've also got quite the collection of Miguel's pins, but I have been looking at his stamp collection for so long and always looking at the Hogwarts one, always looking at the Hyrule one, and this weekend I finally got that with a third Pride Rock pin for my hubby because he loves Lion King. And I also stopped by a good friend of the podcast, Funky Punky Designs, Lisa. She does incredible pins as well. Really adorable. She designs everything herself as well. And I got a couple there. And just a little honorable mention, I also got a really beautiful gift for a friend's birthday from Sam at One Crafty Mother. She does gorgeous wood carving work, and I'm ecstatic with the piece that I got from her. So it was a good haul weekend.
For sure. I mean, those pins, we love Miguel Molina, Funky Punky. Her, Lisa and her brother Mina just do some really, really phenomenal work. We're definitely going to leave her Instagram and all of these wonderful artists. You mentioned One Crafty Mother, and she was so lovely to talk with, and I love that she remembered us and was saying she was following our D23 adventures and what have you. With Lisa and the pins, I only bought one. I bought the Bob-omb Battlefield pin. She has this great set of Mario 64 level paintings. But Darcy, you bought the whole set, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, if I see a set that I like, I buy the set.
If you make a set, Darcy's gonna buy the set.
Darcy's gonna get it.
Yeah, I can't.
No, you have to
one,
make a set
one pin
that he's
behind
gonna
or
like
anything
it,
like
though.
that. Yes,
He's gotta
because One
like it.
Piece. Like that's again our friend at Mega at Mad Pins. He recently released the Broken Heroes One Piece set of pins, which I had pre-ordered, but because he knows who I am and we've talked so much over Instagram and all that stuff, he's like, I'll give it to you now. You can save on the shipping, and I'll refund you that. And while I was there, I picked up a few other pins. Like you said, I love his stuff. I'm got a board next to me right now, just covered in One Piece that he's done. His artwork is incredible. Mm-hmm. And then I also stopped by Lego. I've been eyeing the Dungeons and Dragons idea set for a while, and I had a bunch of Lego points saved up, so I saved some money and pulled the trigger on that. So I came home with that today, and I cannot wait to build that because that just D&D is so much fun, and the fact that that's a collaboration that exists and there's a free adventure included in the instructions. I cannot wait to sit down and play that using the Lego minifigs as our characters, because that'll just be a really fun blast from the past.
That's sick. And I mean, you got it half off.
Over half off at this point. With how much points I spent.
Shout out to Lego though for implementing that system. I actually I was feeling a bit of FOMO in that moment, but I had already spent so much, so I was like, I can't. But I one of the things in my head as we were getting to the front of the line there at Lego, I was like, well, they're not going to be able to do the points, so I'll just wait and order something online if I really want to buy any of these sets, or ask for my birthday coming up. But I love that they implement the idea, the ability for you to use your points because of course they can. They're official Lego, and that was really, really awesome. Justin, whatcha?
Well, I didn't spend too much. I bought a couple things from Retro, of course, things that you also have, Nate.
With Retro Kid, yeah.
From Retro Kid, the Cookie Monster hoodie. And I think the thing that I really was happy that I picked up was the Spider-Man from Unruly Industries. We stopped by the Toronto Collective booth. Our friends are always super nice, and I've been looking at some of the stuff that they've been getting in. To what they were sharing as well. It's been harder for them to acquire certain things from Sideshow and Unruly. But this is part of the Spider-Man designer collectible statue from Tracy Tubra. Tracy Tubra has done a variety of his sort of graffiti anime comic book art style figures that feature superheroes or iconic characters wearing sneakers. So I have Batman, I have Miles Morales, which I think you have as well, Nate. I also have Deadpool and Black Panther. So I have Spider-Man. They did have Venom. He was just so pricey. I was like, I can't.
You didn't have any Lego points you could use?
No, they don't. They
don't
took cold
accept
hard
Lego.
cash
That's
to
it, yeah.
keep it straight. But yeah, this is a limited edition 500. So it's cool to have one. So there is a Carnage one as well, and there is a Venom one. So hopefully I'll acquire those at some point, and just have a bunch of these Tracy Tubra sculptures.
Making fun of me for
so.
completing a set, and now you're talking about doing the same thing, bigger scale. But
Yeah, I
whatever.
know. I just
Moving on.
couldn't do it all
buy
at
the
once.
whole set at once.
At
That's
once.
the difference. Yeah.
If he could, he would. He
Yeah.
wanted to. He wanted to go home with that
I was
Venom
gonna,
today,
I
too.
was like, they're
Yeah.
both there. If I had
Yeah.
the money, like if I had the money at the time, like if I didn't feel like I could, it wasn't a stretch, I would have just done it and bought them both. But I was like, I'll keep my cool. I got a birthday or a Christmas. I can tell my wife, and I'll show her a picture and be like, "Can you get this for me, please?"
Very cool. Well, for me, what'd
you get? What did you get,
Me?
Nate? You spent the most out of all of us, so
Yeah.
I
Did
got
I?
no.
No, I'm pretty sure I still took
I
that.
would-
type.
pretty
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Probably
you
be
did.
Darcy.
Darcy
no.
actually took
Bro.
that.
My watch list could
Wow.
have been a lot longer.
Okay,
if we weren't
send
allowed
the
to say
trophy
two
that I
things.
sent to you to
I'll forward it. I'll forward it.
it to.
I'll use my
Darcy.
Lego points to forward it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, no, I definitely had some fun with pins this year and picked up a few things. I also did get some of the locations from Miguel. I picked up that, as I mentioned, that Bob Mom from Funky Punky. I want to shout out Papricots for being maybe my first purchase of the convention, I think. She was in Artist Alley, and she had her Fruity Booty and Friends pins, which were
So
just a bunch
cute.
of fruits with little faces and little smiles and their cheeks hanging out. And so I got a cheeky pineapple, and I saw it, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to own that. So I did. And then of course we stopped by, speaking of limited edition things, we stopped by Roosevelt's. Always great to save a bit of shipping with Roosevelt's, and picked up a shirt. I know Darcy and I, we got the Secret Wars Marvel con exclusive shirt, and then of course getting some of those Roosevelt's pins, which were so cool because I'd seen those on some of their lives, and it was kind of a brand new venture for them, and they're really fantastic quality, even though Megan didn't like the one that I got for her, which was,
I have
what was it,
specific
Mike
taste.
Tyson?
That was a
Pixelated
weird
Mike
pen.
Tyson. It was a bit weird. I get that.
It was
Yeah.
an 8-bit Mike Tyson, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
What's not
missing
to
a
love?
tooth.
Yeah.
It looked like it was straight out of The Simpsons.
I think it's
Crazy.
when I was X'd out. I don't know.
But I think I traded a Roosevelt, a Theodore Roosevelt.
I got a
for
classic
her.
Teddy.
She got
Yeah.
that one, which is sick. But I think my favorite pickup from the convention was my EPN hoodie from Victor Lucas. I think getting the opportunity to chat with Victor again after seeing him at D23 was awesome. He's, again, I grew up admiring him with the Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run, and him and Tommy Tallarico and his team, and Sean and Marissa. And, I think he's, in my eyes, and I think for a lot of young, 90s Canadians who love gaming, he's an industry legend. I really do think that's the case. And, getting to take part in the Agatha All Along junket was surreal enough as it is, but then I'm sitting next to this man that I grew up watching on my TV, and getting to talk to him as press together was so cool for me. It was so special for me. And so, yeah, getting to chat with him today, meeting his daughter, and you know, she's there helping him sell the hoodies. It was great. It was fantastic. And it was just gave us some really lovely words, as you said, Justin, really lovely words of encouragement for us as a team. He said he misses working as a team in person, but how he carried on continuing with EPN because he knows how important it is to his audience. And you can see that in everything he does. He does it at such a high skill level. He's doing broadcast TV level stuff by himself a lot of the times. And I think that's absolutely incredible and really continues to be inspiring. And I loved when he mentioned that Electric Playground came across, it was a cross between Entertainment Tonight and Siskel and Ebert, and those were the influences. And it's just something I never really thought of, but it was cool to hear him say that. So really lovely guy, and again, awesome to get to know him and speak with him. And yeah, it was awesome. So that just having that hoodie as sort of a something to remember, getting to kind of chat with him more and get to know him more was really special. So that would be my favorite watch. But again, we're going to do our best to link all of the wonderful creators and contacts, in terms of all the different stores you can check out if you want to buy some of the stuff that we talked about. As long as it's not a con exclusive or whatever, you can definitely do so through, I'm sure, their Instagram. You can find a shop page or what have you. But that is it. We hope you enjoyed This Week in Geek and our coverage of Fan Expo Canada 2024. If you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts on this week's news or any of the content we cover here, well, let me just get you to Ride Like a Bantha. That's a bit of Tamora Morrison original there. Over on to Justin so he can let you know how you can reach us.
Well, they can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or they can reach out to us on X or Twitter at GeekcentricYT or on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
You can also join the Discord. Maybe you attended Fan Expo. We saw a few wonderful friends of the show who made sure to say hi to us. And so if you want to continue that conversation, talk about your experience at Fan Expo, we have our Discord link in our show notes. We have a ton of other episodes covering the latest and greatest summer shows and movies out now, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for Borderlands. I wouldn't say that, listen to that review before you watch that movie. Batman Caped Crusader, definitely watch that show. Deadpool and Wolverine, and of course Twisters. We also have our Only Murders in the Building Season 4, episodes 1 to 7, spoiler-free review, which will be out really soon, like today or tomorrow or whenever really soon. It's going to be really soon. We have a ton of interviews out now. We have our most recent interviews, one of our most recent interviews with the legendary Tamora Morrison, who's played Jango Boba Fett in Star Wars, as well as Chief Tui in Moana and the upcoming Moana 2, as well as a bunch of other fantastic roles that he was not afraid to mention and share a lot of in the interview with Justin. Justin, you had a wonderful chat with Tim.
Yeah, I did. It was a lot of fun. He's definitely a talker. I think structured interviews work for some people. For this one, I went in structured. I feel like it should have just been a very natural, fluid conversation, just asking questions for him to kind of talk to and whatnot. But what I think was funny is if you watch the video, so if you go to youtube.com/geekcentric and you watch the video, you see that he's doing something off to the side. So I actually had the opportunity to speak to the fine folks at Touchwood and asked the person that was there. I was like, what was he drawing? Was he drawing something? And apparently he was taking notes. He wanted to make sure he was taking notes so that he could actually ensure that he was kind of circling back to what I was asking, which I appreciate. I actually appreciate that he did that, because he did answer them. He did answer things that I kind of positioned. So now having that insight and watching the interview again, it's funny that the question that I might ask at the beginning, you'll get an answer to it probably in the middle of the interview, and it's a 15-minute interview. So
yeah, if you're editing his IMDb page right now and you need some help, definitely check out that interview. But also, he had some really fun stuff to say about, kind of the experience in terms of, singing in Moana 1 and then not getting to actually hear it, but then Moana 2 is really exciting. So really, really cool stuff. We also have our Alien Romulus interview with director Fede Alvarez out now. He talks about when he starts to feel the emotion during the filmmaking process. And we also got some really fun interviews out with for the latest season of Futurama. So check out those interviews either here on your podcast service of choice or over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. Got some really great stories up on our Instagram page. I've made sure that Justin has tagged me and highlighted every single one of them, and you can definitely check those out. We also have some great stuff from our recent trip to D23, and if this isn't enough content, get it, guys? Convention? You're all asleep. Content. We also have our recaps for Marvel's Hall H announcement at this year's SDCC and a full recap for our experience at D23 up right now. So give all those episodes a listen and leave a 5-star review if you don't mind. Megan, Darcy, Justin, thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. And as we say, love ya.
Bye.
Laters.
Peace.